we go. Hey, Mike, thanks for being here.
Thanks for telling me to get water.
Yeah, no problem. Oh my God, I'm so excited that you're here. Gosh, I've known you for quite a while. You've been a dear friend, a mentor, a teacher, everything. So I'm so grateful that you said yes to joining my Conversations That Matter. I'm on a mission with my series to just create more empowering conversations for people, especially now during COVID. And so I'm grateful that you said yes to give me some of your time today. So can you awesome. Can you introduce yourself to everyone? I know we have a lot of people who are interested in this conversation, so let's have them know who you are.
Great. Well, as the ticker says down there, I'm going to read it. I'm Mike Farragher. I'm author, creativity and performance coach. I'm a screenwriter and a producer, as that says. So a little bit about me. Until recently, I've been a VP in a Fortune 50 company. So that's what I've traditionally done to pay the bills. But what really lights me up and what I do and is my heart is I'm a writer, and also I love to empower others in their life, especially to be creative and to just really go for it creatively. So, this has been an interesting time as a creative to come from nothing to create, given all the swirl that's going on in the world right now. So I think the time, we need creative people. We need people that can make others laugh, which is what a lot of my writing has done. It's usually in the humor genre, in either plays or screenwriting or novel writing. And I think that's needed more than ever. And, to have an empowering context to be creative and to create from nothing has been particularly challenging during this time, but also vital and necessary.
Amazing. Yeah, and that's what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about context and circumstances. And especially now during COVID, I can't think of a more important conversation to have around context and circumstances, because I think a lot of people can very easily get pulled into the circumstances going on around us. So first and foremost, can you help set the stage for our chat around what does it mean? What is context and what does it mean? And could you just sort of set us up?
I thought you'd ask that. So I looked it up in the Oxford Dictionary, and context is defined as the parts of a written or spoken statement that precede or follow a specific word or passage, usually influencing its meaning or effect. So it's something that precedes something else that influences, meaning or effect. So your context of life and what's going on in the moment will influence your thoughts and your actions, and will actually impact your outcomes. And I think context is a very important discussion to have now, because you mentioned the coronavirus. The reality of the situation is, here in August 2020, we're in the middle of it. There's no cure. And you've been in pharma before, in your in previous iterations of your life, that even if they came up with a vaccine tomorrow, it would take over a year to distribute that to billions of people, right? So we might be dealing with this for another couple of years, and you really hear in people speaking that they've written off life until the vaccine comes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write this year off. I'm going to write 2020 off until we can get a vaccine and things will get magically better. But the reality of the situation is we might be a year to even 2 years off, and people are actually sentencing themselves to 2 years of just writing off their life. And that's a context you can choose, or you can choose to reinvent yourself. That's another context. Neither one of them is the truth.
Yeah.
But one empowers you, and one you're just sitting there and waiting for life to happen to you.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, I'm sure you have friends who have told you, but I am having employment issues, I'm having financial issues, my relationships are struggling, the strain on my family is so significant. Would you be willing to go there and sort of share with us some of the adversity that you've had recently, and like how you've navigated that, and how you are just still inspiring to people like me.
Well, thank you. Well, June 26th was a day I don't wish to repeat. It was the day that my mother-in-law passed away from COVID-19. It was the same day that my employment with a Fortune 50 lab supply company ended. So that, I would put up my bad day against most other people's bad days. Sometimes people get into a context like, well, yeah, I get what you're saying, but you don't have it like I do,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's more you just clinging on to a poor you or something else. I got it. You lose your mother-in-law, you lose your job the same day. That is by any definition a bad day. And at that moment, there's a choice to make, right? I've always wanted to be a writer full time. I've always wanted to wonder what that felt like instead of having that just be your side hustle. So from a context perspective, I did get a severance package and I got some other financial things in order so that I have a runway to actually discover what that might look like. Now, I may succeed, I may not succeed, but I was really present to gratitude that I had this runway that many people don't have in a pandemic like this. So I consider myself extremely fortunate. So there's a choice of, oh my God, I'm unemployed, or I now have a runway to do something else, something that's been calling at me for many years. And then the second thing relative to my mother-in-law, it was very sudden. It was terrible. It's a terrible way to pass away. Um, but she was also had some conditions for a while that she's now at peace. And what was really amazing is that in a strange twist of fate, her son, who's a pulmonologist, was one of the attending physicians caring for her. So, what a beautiful way if you are going to pass away to have your son be there holding your hand and attending to you from a physician's perspective. So, again, there's a sadness. I don't want to sweep that under the rug. And there's just a gratitude again that she's no longer in pain and that she was able to be ushered into the final moments of her life by her son, which very few people, especially with COVID-19, have the opportunity to do it. So that's an example of context. It's not, Pollyanna, sugar pills, but you just have that choice in this moment to say, is this going to wreck me? Is this going to ruin the rest of my summer? Or what am I going to make out of this? And there's an opportunity to just make something extraordinary, which I know you've done. And I'm so proud of you for what you've done, Michelle. And this is my moment, watching you do it. And you had mentioned you were generous enough in your intro that I've coached and mentored you. Now it's time for me to, drink my own medicine, so to speak, that I've talked to you about offline. So I think that's an extraordinary opportunity. And that's an example of context for sure.
So how did you do it though, Mike? Like, I mean, I know, so you had the double whammy. I had the double whammy, right? I went to court on a Monday, got divorced, and on a Wednesday I lost my job, right? So it was like, I get it. It's two things. And I didn't like bounce back immediately. Like I struggled. So like, how did you do it on like the next day? Like just helping people understand that it's human to navigate as you navigate.
Yeah, and listen, I'm sure at the steps of the courthouse for your divorce, you were in a grief mode, right? You were sad that that happened, and certainly we're still in an active grief mode mourning the death of my mother-in-law. So I don't want to sidestep the fact that you can be sad and certainly, in a mode of grief. But how you do it, it's this simple. It's just choice in that moment. So here's an example. Prior to this video chat, I said, I don't know what I'm gonna wear. I'm gonna wear either these glasses or these glasses, right? So at the moment, I chose these glasses. I could have easily chosen these glasses. And I didn't even intend for this to happen, but I think this is a perfect metaphor for what I'm meaning by context. I mean, these glasses of, 2020 is written off because your mother-in-law passed away and you lost your job. So just batten down the hatches and just keep your head down and get through it. That's these glasses. Or you can choose in this moment to say, I'm just full of gratitude that my mother-in-law was cared for by her son at the last hours of her life, and I now have a runway to create and reinvent myself now at a time when most people don't have that runway. And it's literally the choice of what glasses are you going to put on. So people are wondering if there's a magic bullet or a training, or does it take you years to do this? And it really is a matter of changing your outlook at any one moment as easily as changing a pair of glasses.
Yeah, there's a saying that I often repeat called change. I heard this at a Tony Robbins event. It was exchange your expectations for appreciation. And I think what you just said about gratitude, it sounds so simplistic, but it literally is a refocus of your attention on the good instead of getting sucked into the negativity, right? Of what we hear and the worry. But if you focus on what you do have, perspective is everything.
And, I am a man of faith, and, just a word about that. A dear friend of mine, Tammy, passed away younger than us a couple of years ago. And it was really one of the hardest losses I can remember. And I was just completely, bent down in grief at her funeral. It was just unfathomable. At the same time, as a man of faith, I was really looking for a new spiritual community to worship in, because the one I was in was not working. And I felt so cared for at my friend's funeral in this congregation that I started to go there every Sunday. And I've been going there for the last, 18 months. And even Tammy's mother now says, wow, this was such a tragic passing of my daughter, but if Mike found his church, one good thing came of this. That's an example of just context. And I guess context, I should edit myself here. Context with also being open, being open to what's next.
Right.
And being open to what it looks like. So I thought I was just going to go around and shop for a new religion. I didn't think I'd be thrust into a deep grief, sitting in a pew, looking around and going, wow, this just feels like home, and I was open to the possibility that maybe this was my new spiritual home. And it has been, especially with COVID and losing your job and your mother-in-law, this congregation has sustained me, and I'm deeply sad that my friend Tammy is not here, and I'm also deeply grateful that that's the path that led me into a spiritual fulfillment.
That's amazing. I believe, and I think what has helped me in those darker moments is I believe that life is always happening for you. It's always unfolding for you, even in those darker moments where you're so frustrated and you don't see the light. But if you just have a little faith and just keep taking an action of some sort, you'll be able to look back and go, oh, that's why, or, oh, this has shaped me in this way. I mean, I still do it. I still shake my head and go, why am I dealing with this? And then I'm like, just trust. And in your case, you're probably trust in your faith or in God or in something that it's all going to unfold.
Whatever it is. I mean, it is. I was reminded of an analogy over the weekend, and that's of a trapeze artist. Anybody that's gone to a circus, you've seen a trapeze artist, and the trapeze artist lets go of the swing behind them.
Yes.
And then they grab the swing in front of them. And in the middle of that trapeze artist is tense and the audience is tense. Like, oh my God, is he going to grab that, or he or she going to grab that swing?
Yeah.
Right. And in that moment of I'm going to grab what's out there in the future, and trusting that there is a swing there when you do let go of the swing behind you, that area, it's just naturally uncomfortable for a human being. And for you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and being open that, the swing is in front of me to grab, and I may not even know what that swing looks like, I think is definitely not a survival skill, but a thriving skill in life in general, but especially in the times that we're in now.
So I've had conversations with you when I was down and out, and you mentioned this earlier when you were talking about my bad day up against your bad day. I think in reality, people are so caught up with what they're dealing with that, they're hearing you and they might be like, oh, you're real positive. Good for you. You got your church and you got a runway. My life is not like that. I'm struggling. My finances are really hurting. My job situation's not good. What advice do you have for the man or the woman out there who's just like, dude, like, you don't get it. My life is hard right now.
Again, it's not a context. It's not a contest. It's all about the context. My life is hard, and
Yeah.
you know what? I definitely have some challenges. What can I learn from this? What am I grateful for? And what new actions can I take?
That's it.
My life is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so I now have this financial runway of a severance package. I have 8 weeks left. What new actions can I take to reinvent myself in the next 8 weeks? My life is hard. And
Yeah.
people want to make that taking off the glasses and putting a new glasses on. They want to make that into a, yeah, but I can't do that. You can.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you can and you must.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of science, and again, not to bring the conversation down, but another profound loss that I had was the loss of my father-in-law. He was an oncologist. He was the head of oncology at JFK Hospital in Edison, New Jersey,
Mm.
and he had pancreatic cancer, and they told him that he had 6 weeks to live, and he had, I have 6 weeks to live, or okay, so I have 6 weeks to live. There are a couple of clinical trials that I know are happening with some pancreatic drug medicine. And he kept himself alive with a very good quality of life for 15, 16 months. And he had 6 weeks to live. And in
Wow.
that 15 to 16 months, he actually got to see his son get married, which nobody thought was going to be possible. And he walked down the aisle unassisted. And really think it was a matter of, at that moment, with the worst, pancreatic cancer
I
is the
know.
worst possible death sentence. And at that moment, how he chose to live his life inspired me. One other thing I would say about this, and this man inspires me to this day. This was a very tough loss. David Bowie.
Mm.
David Bowie, in the last year of his life, he wrote Black Star, which is an amazing jazz fusion album. He recorded 2 epic videos to that. And he also launched a musical, Lazarus, off Broadway in the
Mm.
last year of his life. So he was squeezing every ounce of life out to the very end. And I thought, of anybody that I've heard recently, that's a way to live your life, whether you know the end is coming or not. So I've always been very inspired by how David Bowie lived his life, especially in the last year.
Mm. Do you
And it's all
remember,
context.
Mike, do you remember Jen Birch?
Yes, I do very well.
So Jen introduced me to this author, Byron Katie, Loving What Is, this book years ago. And I have always loved that book because it's understanding that we create our own upset by resisting our reality. I'm way oversimplifying it, but it's you resisting your current situation that causes more upset. And I love that because I think, for me, God, when I was in the farm industry, I was very sure I would just ride off into the sunset and retire from a pharma company and that was my script. I was initially resisting my reality that was not happening. So I think there's some magic in detaching from the way you think it should go versus the way that it is, and just being with it and saying, what is next for me now? And disconnecting from this I guess illusion or vision that you thought was going to be what it was. Do you agree?
I would, and just to go through what's going on with me in my life since June 26th, I just now made myself open to a life as a writer. Right? What does that look like? I don't even know. I mean, am I going to go out and magically sell 1 million books to pay the mortgage?
Yeah.
In terms of doing that, a few things have happened. First of all, I've launched a business, and it's called Love Letters Profiles. And Love
Yeah.
Letters Profiles, I'm writing online dating profiles and career profiles for people. And it has been, in terms of being a performance coach, part of it has just been, am I clever with words and am I funny?
Mhm.
Yes, I am. But then the other part of it is empowering people to actually go for the life they wanted. So when I'm in my free consultation with people to go over what I wrote for them, invariably what happens is I'm empowering them to say, yeah, you can put yourself out there, and you can put yourself out there to get the job that you really want or the love you really want. So that has opened up, and that's been going extremely well just in 6 weeks. And then the other thing that's happened is I've been invited to and I've accepted two teaching engagements, one at Monmouth University and one with Project Right Now, which is a nonprofit project, a writers commune, I would call it. So within those two organizations now, I am teaching writing and memoir writing and fiction writing and humor writing. And that
Great.
didn't exist 6 weeks ago. Now, that's still not going to pay the bills
Right.
fully. And I'm really clear that I'm at the start of something that didn't exist 6 weeks ago. And
Mhm.
already what has happened is I led a class online on Zoom for humor writing. And of all places, J&J, there's a senior executive from J&J said, hey, I'd like to hire you to do some speaking over Zoom for some men's health things. So, it's just creating,
Yeah.
a career as in speaking, in teaching, in moderating, and then writing these, online profiles. And I also have a book in the hopper, so I've spent some of the quiet time here formulating that book. So I'd have a new novel 6 months ahead of schedule that I didn't expect. So it's, and I have no idea what it looks like now, but all of those things I just mentioned did not exist 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. It's amazing when you see your side hustle become your gig.
Yeah, and what would that look like? And I always had a safety net of a very good living as a corporate vice president. So, you know, uh, I remember when I did a couple of plays off Broadway, and I go with the other playwrights, and they were all in tattered clothes, and they'd all have tattoos, and they'd look like they were, you know, baristas at a local funky coffee shop. These are the playwrights, right? And then
Yeah.
I'd walk in a Brooks Brothers. I'd walk in a Brooks Brothers suit, like I was coming to audit them or something, So they'd be like, "Who's this guy?" So I wouldn't say I'm gonna, go into the ripped jean circuit yet, but I've had that lingering question in my mind about, if you didn't have this cushy VP thing,
Yeah.
what would you create, and what
Mhm.
would a starving artist look like for you? And I don't intend to be a starving artist ever,
Yeah.
and it just provides this openness that, again, oh my God, I lost my job. Hey, I just have this place to just create what's next. And it's really it's that easy of putting on a different pair of proverbial eyeglasses.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And sometimes you're like the fledgling that needs to be pushed off the ledge, right? Because I know for me, I would never have left if I wasn't pushed. And it's turning out to be the greatest thing that I ever did. So the acceptance of that, like this is, I have a choice now. What do I do? Do I follow my heart? Do I get
Yeah,
back to the
yeah.
hamster wheel?
And it's funny within my own family, but also my colleagues that I left behind. They're like, well, yeah, you're doing this love letters thing, but you're still looking for a job,
A real
right?
job. A
Did you
real.
get that when you started, right? Like,
So when are you going to start looking for a real job?
well, this is nice. This is a cool summer gig. I get that, but you are looking for a job. Now, the truth of the matter is that I am looking for another job, right? So that's another possibility as well. I mean,
Yeah.
there could be, I'm always been into life balance and uh, creating, creating something where I love business, but business has never been enough for me.
Hmm.
I love writing, and writing has never been enough for me because I love business. So, creating that yin and yang has been is something that I'm also open to another career in corporate if it came my way and it was the right situation, but it's not the primary driver.
Right. So Mike, tell us, please tell us, share with us, what is this love letters gig? We want to know more about it, because I know there might be some people listening who are either single or unemployed and can benefit from your amazing writing skills.
Yeah, so I not long ago did a dating profile for a 62-year-old woman who was she was a real church lady. So she became the Catholic cougar looking to pray, Prey, right? Well, there's a couple of things there. Philosophy is, if you can make somebody laugh or make them smile in the first sentence or two of a dating profile, that's chemistry, right? And I guess to use a fishing analogy, I'm going to put the bait on the hook, but you got to wiggle the hook when it's in the water. The rest is up to you. So from a dating profile perspective, it's very much trying to make somebody smile or laugh and have chemistry. Then presumably, if you made me laugh or smile on my profile, then we probably would laugh and smile when we got together. So it's kind of that simple. Mm-hmm. And it's been funny because some of my friends have emailed me responses from men or women, and it says, if you're half as funny as on this profile as you are in person. So one of my friends, writes, "Oh, another guy fell in love with you, Mike." So that's the writing part. The career part is a bit different. The career part it's a combination of, really owning the fact that you were a contribution for your company and writing the words commensurate with that. That's one thing. And then the second thing is that LinkedIn and Indeed.com, a lot of those career websites, they're all run by artificial intelligence, AI. So, and including some of the HR departments of some of these large companies. So they're looking for keywords. They're looking for, did you drive $190 million in sales? Did you reduce turnover by 60%? So it's not just writing, feel good, this is what I did. It's also, do you have specific measurable results that you can be baking into your profile so that from an AI perspective, those artificial intelligence eyes are picking those up and moving you to the forefront of a career search. LinkedIn, I know there's been a couple of jobs that the job I applied for yesterday, just to see what it was like in this company, there was 338 other applicants according to LinkedIn. So wow. How do you move yourself up that list is definitely using AI and utilizing AI to raise you to more of the top of the pile. It's really that. So those are the two things that I'm doing from a writing perspective on profiles. Mm-hmm. And then, yesterday somebody said, wow, can you look at the text of my website? Because I think it's too wordy. So now I got a writing job doing that. And again, it's being open to, well, I'm not a copy editor, but I am pretty good with the word. So why not? And so it's been fun. And I have to tell you, this is probably the time for another chat, but I have almost wet my pants laughing writing some of these profiles with people because, it's just so funny. So I've actually been approached by a couple of people to potentially do a podcast about it. Nice. And I also think I have to believe that all these stories of love and career that I'm accumulating are going to get baked into some writing project. That's just what we do as writers. We observe and then we scribble it down, and I'm sure that's coming.
I love that. And I think from the leadership work that we've known each other from, it's all about being a yes. It's all about being open. I mean, I get that too. I'm so fluid with my business and my work that if someone comes to me with a need or a request, I'm not gonna not entertain it. So I think it's all about being a yes and being open, like what you just said. That makes all the difference. Now you're looking at websites.
Well, it's being a yes, and it's also being a no, right? Yeah. It's also being a no, like this is what I'm not going to do. So as an example, I've written some dating profiles in the past where, people have said, oh, I'll just take you out for dinner and how about a bottle of wine or, whatever. No,
No.
this is what I'm doing to pay the mortgage now. But, seriously, I
Yeah.
think that the people,
Yeah.
should I charge that much? I don't know. Should I charge anything at all when they knew me in the past as somebody that just did it on the back of a bar napkin for free? Those are conversations that you would have.
Yeah.
So it's not only being open to the yes, but it's also like I am not doing this,
Know your
and
worth. Yeah.
not doing this means I'm worth more.
Yeah.
I'm worth more, and the way I reconcile it is all of those free dating and career profiles I've written on the back of a bar napkin have brought me to this moment, and I'm charging for that moment. I'm charging for that moment because I'm an author, a screenwriter. I'm a
Yeah.
VP that was a hiring talent, so I have a lot to contribute. And
Yes.
that's not being boastful. That's again saying, should I really charge that much, or I'm worth it?
Yeah.
Should I really charge that much? It really, I could do that all day long. It's just, it's back to what we said in the very beginning. It's all about context.
So, Mike, I want to ask, there's people that'll be watching this who don't really know your writing history, and you're hysterical as a writer. Hysterical. They have no idea who's here. But tell us a little bit about your books that you've written, the context of some of the ones that, well, all of them pretty much are amazing. But tell us, maybe pick one or two of them and tell us about why you wrote it. And because you have like, what, 5 books now? 5. You're
Yeah.
published like 5 times.
Working on a 6. Yeah. So the books are my website is thisisyourbrainonshamrocks.com, and This Is Your Brain on Shamrocks is it's really the condition. We all have a conscience, that little voice inside your head, and for many people that were raised by an immigrant parent, like I was raised by 2 immigrant parents. They made me what I am today, but that conscience, in my case, has an Irish accent. So if I was hungover on a Sunday, and my mother would knock on the door and she'd say, "It's time to go to Mass." I'd be like, "Mom, Mass is not going to happen. I'm too hungover." My mother would say in her Irish accent, "Well, I'm sure the Lord Jesus Christ didn't want to get up the day he died for your sins. He would have rather been on that back deck reading the New York Times. But go ahead. He was bleeding to death on the cross, but it's more important for you to stay in bed. Fine." And, and then so I would tell those stories in a bar, and people
Right.
would laugh, like you just giggled, and they'd say, "Dude, you have to write that down." And I wrote them down, and they eventually made them into a column in an Irish newspaper. Then the columns became compendiums that became books. And then some of my actor friends saw some sweet yet funny stories in some of them and made them into off-Broadway plays. And then I was approached to make the stories into a TV series. So that TV series is called McLean Avenue, and we're shopping that around the streaming services right now. We have you can Google my name
Mm-hmm.
as well as McLean Avenue. You could actually watch the pilot episode there. So
So funny.
it really was. I mean, it went from just these funny stories in a bar to writing them down. If you told me that I'd be on, talking to Michelle Dickinson about, plays and TV shows that are up in front of Netflix right now, it came from that. I would have told you you're nuts, but
Mm.
that's being open to how life is, and it's just been a joyride, and then history repeats itself because I have 2 girls in the house that just love to make fun of dad in a very fun natured way, but it's to see my 2 daughters imitate me on a conference call is very funny. So I as much as I've dished out to my parents, I'm getting it back.
Exactly.
I'm getting it back now in spades. They're very, very, their imitation skills are top notch.
Amazing. Great. Well, I hope people check you out. I'm definitely going to add the link in the notes of the broadcast to McLean, because it's so good and it's so funny. I mean, I laughed my butt off watching the pilot. So funny. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And lovelettersprofiles.com. Lovelettersprofiles.com is
Awesome.
the online career and dating profile, and it again has been amazing. It's been gratifying to have people that are satisfied with it, refer people, and it really means a lot when people entrust you. They're very vulnerable, saying that I need a new job or I need love online.
Yeah.
So to be entrusted with that vulnerability is a real gift, and it's not something I take lightly.
Amazing. Yeah, I know. I worked with you. We had fun. We had fun with mine, and I can't wait. I want to.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but yes, I'm actually talking to a client now. What was that like for you, Michelle?
It was hysterical. It was just, I think what is so beautiful about what you do, Mike, is you literally spend the time. So like, if we didn't even have a relationship, you spend the time with someone, really getting to know them so you can articulate who they are. See, you had an advantage because you knew me. So when you sat down to write about me in this profile, it was pretty cool to see you weaving in all aspects of my personality and my passions and my hobbies into something very entertaining. So it was awesome. I mean, I love it. It's definitely, I got similar reactions that your other clients did. Like, if you're that funny in your profile, I can't wait to meet you. So it's sort of a funny thing.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It's like, Mike, you got to come with me on the date.
Okay, Michelle, say this. All right.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I think that's also, not to play a psychologist, but it's a bit more of the same sometimes, isn't it? Because people go, I don't know if I'm that funny.
Yeah, it's true.
You're a great conversationalist, and sometimes people need to be reminded that you are playful and you are funny and you're a conversationalist. So if I bring it out and I amplify it, great. But if I make you something you're not, then that's not really what I'm about during Love Letters profiles. But it's also not going to serve you well, because you're not going to be a match for what you're putting out there online, and that's the biggest sin, is that people are not a match for what they put online. They say they like long walks on the beach, but at my age, I've got bad knees and plantar fasciitis. I'm not even going to go near the sand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's putting that in your profile is like, it's like parsley, like nobody, you can put that on the plate, but nobody's going to bite it,
Yeah.
But it's rather than doing that filler, just really, get in touch with who you authentically are and putting that out online in a playful, humorous way. That's the magic of it.
Do you get more women than men that you write dating profiles for?
I have had more women than men. I've had gay, straight. There's actually one survey question I ask is that you're men seeking men, man seeking woman, woman seeking man, woman seeking man. And then the last one was surprise me.
Oh gosh.
And there's been quite a few people so far that have picked surprise me. So, they're very open to whatever. Those are the fun ones to write. This is a family show. I'm not going to tell you what some of those were like, but it is fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome, Mike. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you. I can't wait to see what unfolds for you. Like, it's been awesome to know you. When I first met you, you were going through another transition, and I just love the work that we've been able to know each other through. It keeps us empowered, and I'm going to just sit and watch you do all of your magic and see where you land. And I'm inspired by you every day. So.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice to say. And I'm inspired by you as well. You're really walking the walk, and you're really putting yourself out there, and just you created your life from absolutely nothing at all. It's unrecognizable than what it was, say a year ago. And I know that trust me when I tell the people watching this that there was some dark times, and there was some fears and doubts, and what am I doing? And for you to recover and not recover, but thrive. You definitely fit the mode of a caterpillar into a butterfly analogy, and that takes an awful lot of courage. So I'm proud of you as well.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Awesome. So we'll stay in touch. And thank you for giving me some of your time and sharing everything you did today.
Thank you. This was great. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. All right. You too.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.